Coach, it was a really positive mindset in the locker room last night when we talked to you, and the guys seem like they have a clear message. Just now having a night to sleep on it, reviewing a little bit, just kind of what are your thoughts on last night?
Yeah, they haven't changed from last night, really, honestly. I thought we played really hard, did a lot of good things, got to clean up a couple things defensively.
I don't know.
What similarities do you see between the games of Guerilla and Josh Morrissey?
Well, there's quite a few, actually. I mean, I think both guys are really well-rounded when it comes to their game, in the fact that really good defenders, being able to play against other teams' top lines, probably both of them getting better and better in that area as they mature a little bit as defenders, but then both clearly dangerous offensive guys. And Morrissey's one of those guys for me that, like, there's not a whole lot of guys, blue line or otherwise, that can score from distance. And I think you see it last night. Both guys find the top corner of the net from the blue line, using screens, being able to hit that part of the net. Shows up a lot in video with Morrissey. We see it all the time with Cale. So, and it doesn't have to be a big wind-up slap shot, even though they both have bombs from back there when they're loading up one-timers. It's being able to shoot on the move and be elusive on the blue line and get them through. Like that. That's one that stands out to me, and you see all the time from both guys.
Yeah.
You mentioned the middle stat line being one of the positives from last night. Being his first playoff game, it seemed like he had a pretty strong debut. Just what do you make of his play, and also just some of the chemistry he's building with Val on that group?
Yeah, I think, like that group's been together apart because of injuries and whatnot. I think the longer they play together, the better off they're going to be. Val and Lecky, I think, can help, any center just with their details and the way they play a solid 200-foot game. I think Mitty was really excited for last night. Like, you could tell he's all smiles on the bench before the game. And I think he handled it the right way. He went out and had one of his hardest working games for us last night. He was willing to get into the battle, win races, use his legs as a solution offensively, trying to challenge guys off the walls, beat them off the walls, drive pucks into the interior of the ice. He made some nice plays, physically involved in the game. And so, like, that's, like, I think, like, you get into the playoffs, you have no choice but to elevate your game. I know he's been excited for the opportunity for quite some time, and to get in those playoff games now, hopefully it keeps driving the best out of him, and we keep seeing more positive things like we saw last night, because I thought he was really good in a lot of areas.
Jared, aside from the last change that goes with home ice advantage, not being in the hotel room, et cetera, how, from that excitement factor, you come into an environment like this, how much fun is it for you?
I thought it was great. Like, we were laughing on the bench before the game because, the season can drag. I know you're still fighting for things at the end of the year, but you're really just, like, there's big points on the table that you're going after. You're trying to refine your game, but it's hard not to look forward to that, the start of playoffs. And, I love our crowd and the way they get excited for games back at home, but I haven't been in a playoff atmosphere here yet, and that's as good as it gets. It's a whiteout. The fans are chanting and going crazy, and you can feel the energy on the bench. Like, it gave me goosebumps as a coach, and I think the players were all feeling the same thing, and it just forces you to bring your best. And you get two teams that are, like, fully engaged, bringing their best. It's why watching playoff hockey in this type of atmosphere. We were also laughing after, saw a replay on one of the shows of, like, when we were playing in the bubble and there was no fans, and, like, just kind of recalling that atmosphere and trying to get up for a playoff game. And it's just like that's what makes playoff hockey the best is the fans getting into it, the cities getting into it, and then playing in that type of atmosphere. There's nothing better.
Evan?
With no Drew, a lot of times you would put a Lecky or a Val on that top line, but you decided to keep the second line together. How much of that is just to keep the offense spread out, or is it just a matter of you prefer Parise out there right now?
No, I mean, we have multiple reasons why. I don't necessarily want to get into all of them, but it has to do with their depth. you know. And Mac and Mikko's ability to create offense, and just like how they're running their matchups, you know, I'll let you dig into that however you want to.
Megan and Ken.
Yeah, Sam skated today. Things are still progressing. Definitely moving in the right direction. We'll see for tomorrow and what tomorrow brings. And Eustace is still sick.
Jared, depth important at every position, but specific to the center position, how important is it during the playoff run, and how has Sean Monahan's addition changed the Jets down the middle this year?
Well, I mean, it's all about depth and being able not just to have responsible players on both sides of the puck, but then also have guys that can contribute and chip in offensively, right? And you add Toffoli and you add Monahan, and it gives them a whole nother line of experienced guys that can play a solid two-way game and chip in, and it just makes them that much more difficult to deal with. No different than us adding Middlestead, Trennan, and guys like that. Yep.
John.
Jared, just wondering, how's Georgiev feeling about himself today after a rough night last night?
Yeah, I'm sure not great, but it's you know, like it's going to be about mental toughness, right? Not just for him, for our group. Like I as positive as I'm going to be up here and sitting up here, like we didn't win the hockey game, right? But you have to be able to reset. Whether we won last night, lost last night, I kind of touched on this a little bit the other day. You got to reset and put it behind you, right? Like it's about playing tomorrow the best game we possibly can, controlling what we can control, getting better at some of the areas that we have to, continuing to go in the direction we were in some of the things like offensive output last night and how heavily involved we were with our forwards. You know, like that's just what it is. Like if you're dwelling on the past in the playoffs and you're not setting yourself up for success in that next night, and Gorgie's no different. He's got to reset and go play better than he did last night.
Corey.
So you guys add Ross Colton in the summer and Chico Center. You've seen him in this, like, he had playoff experience. Casey was a complete, we don't know. Just what was that like for you personally to see him sort of, I mean, it's only one game, but he sort of proved he can handle this.
Ross or Casey?
Casey.
Yeah, I think, listen, I was really pleased with both those guys. I touched on it last night, the Colton line. Like, I mean, without getting into, like, all the specific details, they're, like, watching the Colton line play last night, they played right to their identity. They were hard, competitive guys, which is what Wood and Colton bring Kivy Rant to fit right in on that line. And watching Casey and just how involved he was and physically engaged he was in the game, it's you know, for both of those guys, I like to just copy and paste that game with a couple improvements for tomorrow. I think it just shows you what they're capable of, and sometimes you never know until you get into big situations like this. But both guys, obviously, really competitive guys. Casey's a little bit of a quieter competitor. Colton's a little bit of a louder player that likes to get in the mix a lot, and so a little bit different makeup in their DNA of their game. But I liked what both guys did.
Sean.
You said there's, you know, in that atmosphere, there's kind of no choice but to get up for it. But I'm sure you've seen and maybe been a part of a lot of situations like that where teams crumble underneath that kind of pressure.
Yeah.
I think, you know, it became good. I think your team had a lot of reasons to kind of hang it up and give up in that game. They did the exact opposite. I wonder where that mindset comes from and how it positions you going forward in the series.
Well, the mindset comes from the work you put into it, right? It's a belief. It's about not being willing to give up on something that you put so much work into. And I'm not just talking recent work. It's like all season long, the summer training, you know, and we talk about it a lot. Like we have a lot of belief in our room, and we've come back many times throughout the course of the season. You know, for whatever reason we give up the lead, that we still believe that until the final buzzer goes that we're in the hockey game. So that's a credit to our leadership in the room. I think that the one thing it can, like last night's game can give us, is like we can carry on that belief against the Jets. Like that's the first good game we played against the Jets since November, so it's a little bit of an unknown. Like, what can we do against that team when we show up and play our game? So that's where I think a little bit of the confidence can continue on from last night, because we know we got to be better in certain areas, but we also know that if we play our game, that at least we can get to the Jets.
Last one, Kyle.
Just to confirm, Eustace is with the team still, even with his illness.
He is. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Yep.
Thanks, Coach.